young ambitious people are leaving the UK. According to this article right here, some 30% of 18 to 24-year-olds want to move abroad, according to YouGov survey conducted earlier this year. And almost 2/3 of Britons would consider working abroad. So in this video, as someone who personally left the UK, we're going to discuss the reasons for why this is happening, what this means for the UK as a whole, and why, if you are an ambitious or a wealthy individual in the UK, you should leave now before it is too late. So a lot of the Western countries right now are facing a crisis of ambitious people escaping the taxes, the declining quality of services, and simply the declining economies as a whole. But this problem is particularly bad specifically in the UK. We can see right here that the UK has the second highest net exodus of millionaires in the entire world, and this is even higher than countries like India with massive populations compared to the UK, which really shows just how terrible the UK is right now for wealthy, successful, ambitious individuals. And it's not just individuals, it's businesses that are leaving as well. We can see this all over YouTube. If you type leave UK to the search result, you're gonna see so many videos of people that I've been following as well, like UK-based YouTubers, for example, who I never thought would be leaving the UK, who are now decided to leave the UK. Everyone who has the ability is leaving right now, and it is unfortunately only going to get worse. The new Labour government is increasing taxes, and at some point they are going to have to start introducing exit taxes to trap people into the country. So in terms of why people are leaving, if we look at this article in here, a very nice life for a lot less money, why young people are fleeing high tax Britain. A demographic crisis is brewing as emigration from the UK's rainy isles ramps up. So this particular individual that they've interviewed in here moved to Portugal, and Portugal is not a low tax country by any means. So this really shows that this is not really just about taxes. Taxes are going up, but what I always say on this channel is that don't just look at what you're paying, look at what you're getting. In the UK, taxes are going up, but services and the value that you get is going down. The thing about the UK compared to countries like Portugal or Spain or Italy that also have completely trash economies and have had trash economies for a long time is that beyond the economic opportunities in the UK really doesn't have that many redeeming qualities. It doesn't have good food, it doesn't have good lifestyle, it doesn't have good weather. So if you don't have the opportunity to make money there or to get rich there, what reason do you really have to be in the country? And that is what I think is the fundamental reason why the UK is especially bad in terms of all these trends of successful people leaving, is that once these economic opportunities go away, there's very little reason for these people to stay. People are still choosing to go to countries like Spain or Portugal that are high tax because not everyone just wants to save on tax. They also want to get a better lifestyle. They want to get better weather and things like this. When I was still living in the UK, like no kidding, every single conversation that I had with people at some point went into just how terrible the UK is. And now that I'm here in Dubai, when I speak with British people, everyone shares the same sentiment. The UK is going down, and none of us want this to happen. It is a terrible shame that it is happening for this country that was once the biggest empire in the world, but it is simply the reality that we all need to face right now. And if you're still in the UK and you're thinking like, well, this doesn't really affect me, I don't mind the weather, I don't mind the life here, everything like this, there are two reasons why these trends are particularly concerning to you and why you simply cannot escape them. Number one is that if one day things get so bad that you do actually want to leave, it might no longer be that easy. There's already a lot of countries around the world that have implemented what are called exit taxes. So what this means is that whatever gains you have made in your entire life, pretty much since living in the country, that country, when you're exiting the country's tax system, if you want to leave to go somewhere else, they're going to tax all of those gains before they are essentially allowing you to leave. There's countries that do this, like for example, Canada has an exit tax like this. I believe the Netherlands does, and now a lot of countries are talking about making these exit taxes stricter or implementing them if they don't already have them, because essentially these countries are in this vicious cycle of things get worse, so the people at the top who are most in the position to leave decide to leave. But who's paying the taxes in these countries? Well, it's overwhelmingly these top people, the top 1%. And then once they leave, the country now has less tax revenues when really they would need more tax revenues. So things get even worse, which leads even more people to leave, and the vicious cycle continues. So of course, the solution would be to actually fix the problem. fix the healthcare, fix the roads, bring back law and order, stop allowing everyone into the country. But no, of course they're not going to do that. Don't be crazy. What they're instead going to do is that they're going to look at all these people, these evil traitors that are leaving, and they're going to say, why are we allowing these people to leave? Why don't we just extract as much out of them before we allow them to leave? So the only option that these countries are left with when they're completely bankrupt is to essentially trap the high earners into the country, or force them to essentially pay a ton of tax just to be allowed to leave, to essentially try to fix this massive deficit that they have. So if you're in the UK and things haven't quite yet got to the point where they're so bad that you want to leave, but you think that at some point in the future they might, I would highly recommend leaving now while you still can, before these exit taxes are coming into place. I personally went to the UAE, that is where I have my main residence, but I sort of live around the world. I have a couple of bases around the world, and I have literally never looked back. I don't think I'm ever gonna step foot in the UK in my entire life. I'm not from the UK, I'm not a UK citizen, so I literally have no reason to go back there. But if you are from there, you want to go see family, of course you can still go back. You just need to be very careful about how much time you spend there, what kind of ties you have there, and things like this. So if you're looking to leave, I would highly recommend working with a professional who has done this many times before, so to make sure you are, first of all, complying with all the laws in the UK in terms of exiting cleanly and legally, and whichever country you're going into, you follow all the laws there to properly become a resident there, set up a company there, or whatever you want. Now, if you're specifically looking to make the same move as I and that a lot of wealthy people from the UK are doing right now, which is to go to the UAE and set up in Dubai, we actually have a company where we help people go through this specific process. We have helped hundreds of people, and our biggest clientele is actually from the UK. So if you work with us, then you can know that we essentially know exactly how to do this, and you don't really need to think about anything. We're going to help you become a non-resident in the UK and become a resident in the UAE, help set up your company, your new bank account, and everything that you need so that you can legally leave the crumbling UK tax system and arrive in the UAE, where you get to pay 0% tax on your income and 0% tax on capital gains, while getting access to much better infrastructure, much better weather, at least in the winter months, and generally an environment that is going up and looking into the future rather than looking into the past like the UK is doing. Now, in terms of what all of this means for the future of the UK, I don't really see a big way in which things could improve. The real way to turn the UK around would be to have a competent government who actually fixes the problems and manages to essentially turn the ship. But it just seems like no matter which party is in power, whether it's the Conservatives or the Labour, the core problem is not really whether it's a right-wing or a left-wing government, is that whichever government is in power, they're all incompetent. They don't know how to run the country properly. And in the UK political system, you have this problem where it's very short-term thinking. Like, this is a general problem with all the Western democracies right now, is that these parties are not focused on how to actually improve the country in the long run. They're just focused on how to make things seem good in the short run so that they get re-elected, which just leads to the cycle of these two parties fighting each other, fighting for optics, rather than actually thinking about how to actually make the country better. This is, again, a big pro of countries like the UAE or Singapore. Think whatever you want about like lack of freedom of speech or anything like that, but these governments are competent and they have long-term plans on how to actually make the country better in the long run, and historically they have a very good track record of being extremely successful. So if you still want to be part of the UK, that is fine. You should make the best decision for you, but this is just something to consider. If you're looking to leave the UK, I recommend doing it now. If you want to specifically move to the UAE, we can help you. You can get a free consultation with us down below in the description in the very first link, where you can ask any questions. We can explain the process, and then only after that you can decide if you want to move forward with the process. When you are moving to the UAE, you want to be careful about who you work with. There's a lot of very bad players out there. For us, you can literally look at our reviews publicly on Google. You will not find a single negative one because every single client has been happy. If you're interested in more detail on precisely why I personally left the UK, why I did not see a future there, then you can watch this video right here. And with that, I will see you in the next one.